Thursday's arrived and things are fairly steady at Celtic Park. The mood's calm for now, but there's an undercurrent of anticipation as the boys gear up for a crucial clash against Hibernian this Saturday. The spotlight, however, isn't just on what's happening on the pitch. Off it, there's been a growing buzz about the state of Scottish football's television rights, and that's what we're diving into today. But before we get too deep into that, there's something pressing we need to address Celtic's status heading into the next phase of UEFA Champions League qualification. Now, this was meant to be a quick update, just a couple of minutes at most, but the sheer volume of what's going on forces us to spend more time here. This situation is more complicated than most realize. Right now, the key question is whether Celtic will enter the final playoff round as a seeded side. A detail that could make or break the club's European ambitions next season. Given Celtic have already wrapped up the domestic title attention, naturally shifts to Europe. And this matter is at the center of a lot of heated discussions online. There are 8 clubs in contention for the same playoff round that Celtic will enter. If 5 of them make it through and are ranked higher in UEFA's coefficient table, then Celtic will end up unseeded, since the draw will contain 10 teams. The top 5 are seeded and the rest, well, not so fortunate. That difference matters. Being seeded would likely pit Celtic against a more favorable opponent, increasing the chances of advancing into the coveted group stage. Here's the silver lining. 2 of those 8 clubs are already out of the equation. Olympia have qualified directly for the Champions League group phase, thanks to this season's winner securing their spot elsewhere, Inter Milan and Paris. Saint-Germain have also confirmed their places via domestic routes. Shakhtar Donetsk are no longer a threat, either having failed to secure the Ukrainian league title. Dynamo Kiev, who are expected to win it now, don't hold a coefficient higher than Celtic, which swings things in our favor. As for Bodo Glimt, they're still in the mix but hanging by a thread in the Europa League. They trailed 3-1 after the first leg against Tottenham Hotspur, with the return leg happening later tonight in Norway. If they somehow pull off one of the most outrageous comebacks in European football history and win the Europa League, they'd qualify straight to the Champions League Group Stage 2, thus removing themselves from the playoff round. It's a stretch, admittedly, but not impossible. Red Bull Salzburg's situation is equally interesting. They're currently sitting 4th in Austria, 4 points behind Sturm Graz, with just 3 matches left to play. That means they're still in with a shout, but it's an uphill battle. 3 clubs stand between them and the title, and that alone makes their path to Champions League qualification through domestic victory incredibly tough. And here's the kicker: if any other Austrian club wins the league, their coefficient won't outstrip Celtic's. That's another potential win in our column. Now let's look at the rest of the picture. The Serbian champions Crvena Zvezda, often referred to as Red Star, have already clinched their domestic title. That guarantees their entry into the same playoff phase, and unfortunately their ranking places them ahead of Celtic. Ferencváros are likely to win the Hungarian league, and their UEFA coefficient is also superior. Copenhagen and Denmark are right in the mix, with a vital match coming up against Michelin this weekend. That game could well determine who wins. The league and Celtic fans will definitely be rooting for Michelin, who rank lower in UEFA's standings. Over in Croatia, Dinamo Zagreb are second at the moment, trailing the league leaders by just 1 point with 3 matches to go. They've been a dominant force in recent years, so it's hard to bet against them. But if they slip up, that's another contender we might be able to cross off the list. Taking all that into account, here's the bottom line. Celtic need 4 of those 8 clubs to fall short of qualifying for the playoff round in order to be seeded. 2 are already out. A 3rd is hanging on by a thread. That leaves us needing just 1 more to stumble. Dinamo Zagreb might be our best hope for that final spot, especially if they fail to win the league. Alternatively, even if some of these teams do win their leagues, they still have to navigate through 1 or 2 earlier qualifying rounds before reaching the playoff stage. A stumble at any of those hurdles would also do the trick. Looking at all this, I've got to say, I feel more optimistic than not. It's not guaranteed, but the odds are looking better by the day. That said, some projections released last night have dampened the mood a bit. Based on current standings, Celtic are among the unseeded sides. The seeded teams currently include Dinamo Zagreb, Bodo Glimt, Copenhagen, Crvena Zvezda, and Ferencváros. Meanwhile, the unseeded group includes Celtic Basel, Sturm Graz FCSB from Bucharest, and Raków of Poland. Now, I wouldn't go so far as to call any of these matchups easy. Every unseeded team is a domestic champion, and that comes with a certain level of quality and consistency. But if given the choice, you'd rather face Basel or Sturm Graz than try your luck against Bodo Glimt, who have shown serious pedigree in Europe recently. They're not the kind of team you want to meet in a Dordai tie. That's why this seeding business is so important. Being seeded opens up a path that, while still challenging, is far more manageable. I'm still hopeful Celtic will land on the right side of the line when the draw comes around. I'll be keeping a close eye on the results across Europe this week, because every slip-up by one of those clubs is a step closer to a seeded place for us. But now let's pivot to what's happening with Scottish football's television contracts. The current deal is primarily split between Sky Sports and Premier Sports. This agreement kicked off at the start of the season and runs for 5 years. Taking us through to the 28-29 campaign, Sky Sports have the rights to show up to 60 Premiership matches per season. However, they've not made full use of that allowance this year. The most recent Old Firm derby marked their 45th live broadcast of the season. They've got a few more lined up, including Rangers versus Aberdeen this weekend, Celtic's trip to Aberdeen the following week, and Trophy Day at Celtic Park against St. Mirren. All in, they'll reach 48 broadcasts, still well below the 60 they're entitled to. That gap has understandably raised eyebrows. Now, Sky's portion of this deal is valued at £30 million per season. It's a significant figure, but there's been growing frustration about whether Scottish football is really getting bang for its buck. To be fair, there's more to the deal. Premier Sports, for example, stepped in this year with a new arrangement allowing them to broadcast additional matches that Sky doesn't pick up. They've committed to 20 live matches per season across the 5-year deal. So far this season, they've hit that number exactly. 20 games shown live. Their share of the deal is worth a total of £10 million over 5 years, or $2 million per season. When you add it all up, the total broadcast income for live Premiership matches comes to around £32 million annually. Here's an interesting stat out of the 38 league. Matches this season, 23 have been or will be shown live. That includes 6 home matches at the big grounds, which is the maximum permitted, and 17 away fixtures. In total, 19 away matches were played, so Premier Sports and Sky combined managed to televise 17 of them. The other 2 were shown live by alternative broadcasters. That leaves just 9 matches out of 38 that weren't shown live anywhere. So for fans with a bit of cash and the right subscriptions, almost every Celtic match this season has been available to watch live, whether in Scotland or abroad. That's a massive shift compared to just a few years ago. But it begs the question, with so many games now broadcast live, are we actually making enough money from it? I've been doing some digging, trying to compare Scotland's TV deal with those from similar leagues across Europe. I'm not talking about the Premier League or La Liga. Those leagues are in a financial stratosphere of their own. I'm looking at countries that in theory we should be able to match or even surpass. Turkey, for example, has the biggest TV deal, outside the top 5 leagues, bringing in about £136 million per season. In Belgium, the top division earns around £115 million per year. In Scandinavia, Norway's Eliteserien pulls in about £64 million, while Denmark's Superliga brings in £52 million. Austria's Bundesliga earns roughly $34 million, which is closer to what Scotland makes, but still ahead. Sweden's Allsvenskan sits just behind Scotland, earning about $30 million annually. But there's word they've landed a better deal recently. The figures haven't been published yet, though. So when we look at these 8 comparable leagues, Scotland is near the bottom in terms of broadcast revenue. And that's troubling. Is it really acceptable for Scottish football, with its history, its rivalries, and its passionate fans, to be lagging behind countries like Norway and Sweden? Especially when we boast one of the most iconic derbies in the world, played 4 times a season, and a league that's among the oldest and most tradition-rich anywhere. The truth is, Scottish football punches above its weight in terms of fan engagement. We've got the highest average attendance per capita of any league in the world. That's not just a quirky stat. It speaks volumes about how embedded the game is in our culture. In other parts of the world, like Australia, where sports compete for attention, football often takes a back seat. But here in Scotland, it's front and center every week, every season. And yet we're not seeing that passion reflected in our television deals. One of the reasons, unfortunately, is down to how things are structured here. Our main broadcaster covers football on a UK-wide basis and tends to prioritize the English Premier League or even the lower leagues in England over Scottish football. It's understandable from a business point of view, but frustrating. All the same, there's clearly room for improvement. One example that caught my eye is the Eredivisie in the Netherlands. Their TV deal allows for 136 live matches per season. In contrast, Scottish football is capped at 80. And this year only 68 matches were actually broadcast. That's half of what the Dutch league delivers. It's not hard to imagine that airing more games would drive up revenue and interest. But there's always been this tension between broadcasters and fans. Fixture times get changed to suit TV schedules, and not everyone's happy about it. Still, if Scottish football wants to grow financially, it might have to sacrifice a bit of tradition and make more games available for broadcast. Perhaps even rethink the current limit of 5 live visits to each stadium per season. Some have even floated the idea of launching a dedicated channel for the Scottish League, cutting out the middleman and giving fans direct access through a subscription model. It's something that's worked in other sports. Take basketball, for instance. You can pay a monthly fee to access every game, choose which ones to watch, and follow your team with no restrictions. I'm not saying Scottish football has the same global pull, but it's an idea worth exploring. In the long run, it could generate more revenue than the current system. Of course, it's risky. Many clubs will be wary of losing the security that comes with guaranteed broadcast money. And let's not forget the collapse of the Setanta deal years ago. That left a bitter taste and plenty of clubs in the lurch, so caution is understandable. But when we look at the numbers from Denmark, Sweden, Belgium, and beyond, it's hard to escape the feeling that Scottish football could be doing more and doing better in how it markets itself to broadcasters and fans. Before we proceed, subscribe to our channel and enable notifications to receive all exclusive news about Celtic FC. Don't miss any details about your favorite team. It's extremely important for Celtic FC fans. In a move that has stunned Scottish football, Evangelos Marinakis, the Greek shipping magnate and owner of English Premier League club Nottingham Forest, has tabled a jaw-dropping £1 billion offer to acquire Celtic Football Club. The proposal, which surfaced earlier this week, signals a potentially seismic shift in the landscape of Scottish football and has ignited passionate debate across Glasgow and beyond. Marinakis, known for his ambition and deep pockets, is no stranger to the footballing world. Alongside Forest, he also owns Greek giants Olympiakos and has made no secret of his desire to create a global footballing empire. His sights now appear firmly set on Celtic, Scotland's most decorated club and a cornerstone of the nation's sporting identity. Sources close to the deal suggest the proposal includes not only the outright purchase of the club, but significant investment into Celtic Park, Lennoxtown training facilities, and player development. The billionaire is said to view Celtic as a sleeping European giant, a club with rich history, a massive global fan base, and untapped commercial potential. Reactions have been mixed. Some Celtic supporters are cautiously optimistic, intrigued by the idea of financial muscle capable of bringing the club back into regular European contention. Others are more wary, citing concerns about tradition, independence, and the risk of becoming a satellite in Marinakis' growing football network. The Celtic board has yet to issue an official statement, but insiders report that discussions are ongoing and the offer is being taken seriously. With Scottish football often seen as financially modest compared to its English neighbour, a £1 billion bid could represent not just a game changer for Celtic, but for the entire SPFL. If successful, Marinakis' acquisition would mark one of the most expensive in football history, and certainly the largest ever in Scotland. As fans and pundits alike wait for more clarity, one thing is certain: the future of Celtic Football Club could be about to enter a bold and controversial new chapter. Hello, fan! Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel, as it means a lot to Celtic FC. Also, share your opinion about the news in the comments below. See you in the next video.